Hello, and welcome back to another encouraging, inspiring, and including episode of the Achieving Unity Success Formula weekly podcast, where we help turn chaos into connection and purpose into action. I am your host, Mark Intrican, founder of the Achieving Unity Success Formula, also known as the Unity Success Formula, that's available at www.unitysuccessformula.com, which is dedicated to improving lives by encouraging, inspiring, and including others. That's the EII, encouraging, inspiring, and including others. Today, I am honored to introduce another truly remarkable guest, Anita Sarda. She went from long corporate hours, like many of us have, working long hours, to building a life of freedom, family time, and real purpose. Anita now helps thousands of people trade that 9 to 5 grind for businesses they love. She's a mom, a black belt martial artist, an actress, and an international speaker who believes the only belief that matters is the one you have in yourself. Such great words. Her energy is contagious. Her stories are real. And her shortcuts to success, well, they're pure gold. Get ready to laugh, nod your head, and maybe feel that little nudge saying, I can do this too. But first, before we dive into this insightful discussion, let me briefly introduce my company, Reality Focused Dynamics, creating solutions one reality at a time, where this all began. As you can see on the first slide, I hope you'll take advantage of the gift. It's my gift to you. It is the Achieving Unity Guide, and it's a chance to see parts of what we teach, what we share with others about ending that disconnection, maybe called hate. Sometimes it's that frustration or anger. Sometimes it's that prejudgment, or sometimes called prejudice. It's a chance for us to look at those, define those, and get them out of our lives. A way for us to build forward in what we do and how to improve our lives by ridding ourselves of those emotions that are truly not valuable to anyone. So if you look in the bottom left of the screen, you'll see the QR code. That's our Achieving Unity Guide. Please click it, go look at it, give us feedback. We'd love to hear from you. On the bottom right, you'll see our Achieving Unity blog. That's the QR code for our blog. And we have our newsletters out there with many articles that are written, again, on helping us in achieving unity. The Achieving Unity Success Formula weekly podcast, this is number 64. We've been doing this for over a year now, our 64th podcast. We're on here every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Pacific time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. But for as long as we can, and as long as we can keep you coming, we'll be here. We love being here to talk with you and share with you each and every week. The biggest part about our organization is our logo. It's about reality focused dynamics. But as you can see on our logo, the slide truly reflects the core of what we do and how we stand firm. Notice how that word focus is at the heart, right there in the center. That is because everything that we explore, everything that we share, from reality focused dynamics to success focused solutions, revolves around clear, intentional, focused direction. In fact, the concept of being focused is so core to us in achieving unity and creating solutions that is even reflected in our business phone number, 303-362-8733. And that spells 303 focused on your phone pad. We believe that by being truly focused on what matters, we can create meaningful change and achieve lasting unity. And the reality-focused dynamics truly does equal success-focused solutions. So with that, what do? We show you through proven, compassionate strategies that we can turn conflict into lasting harmony at home, at work, and in every relationship that matters, personal, professional, and social. Get both of you, all of you, whether this be just a couple, a team, a department, a division, get everyone thinking the same and on that same baseline. Because too many times, one person has one definition and the other person has another definition. And that word may be very important to your relationship, that terminology. So have you ever been frustrated by the tension, and the arguments that may arise from that? Well, my 7-step roadmap gives you the tools to move from conflict to collaboration quickly and confidently. It helps you understand where the problems can be and how to get beyond them through better definition and better understanding. Are you craving stronger trust, stronger connection? We help you discover communication tactics that build that respect between both parties, talking to each other first before decisions are made or before you go do something that is not truly team, department, division, or partner related. We help you repair those relationships and unify your teams and families alike. You can transform that conflict into connection, together achieving unity. Unity inspires us in our homes. It shapes society and it transforms workplaces. And from our homes to our society, to when we go to work, when we go to the office, when we go out to get our work accomplished, we have sometimes that frustration. Even sometimes it's road rage on the way to work. Well, we help you turn that frustration into understanding. I know sometimes we've heard other people say, and maybe we've said it, but we just wanted to say, what the frustration? Well, maybe that wasn't frustration that was said, but that's where we need to work on it. We need to find value in our actions instead of reacting in that anger or that frustration. Because we show you that anger holds no value. It is just actions not gaining effective results. Anger, ANGER, actions not gaining effective results. Life does happen in every relationship, from personal to professional, from parenting time to partnerships. It happens in the boardroom, happens in the bedroom. It happens in every room in between. We show you how to embrace those challenges and encourage a more inspired and inclusive future. Again, that's the EII. Encourage and inspire a more inclusive future. You have one vision, one goal, achieving unity in every area of life. So what is our call to action? It's always good to have that call to action. What do we want to do? Well, first off, we want to ditch the drama. How much drama do we have in our life? Let's ditch that drama. Let's get stuff done in our program, and through our speeches, through our workshops, and in our courses. We show you how to turn your life from what may seem at times like a dumpster fire into a well-oiled machine. Achieving unity is the path to stronger relationships, inspired leadership, and lasting change, lifetime improvements. And it takes everyone in the relationship to make it work. But I know sometimes there's things being said outside of the relationship. It's not helping. We show you how to get that together, how to learn that respect for each other. We do this through coaching, consulting, courses, and keynote speeches. Please contact us today. Go to www.achievingunity.com or call us 303-FOCUSED, 303-362-8733. Or if you'd like, you can use that QR code there at the bottom of the screen. Do call us. We're ready to talk to you whenever you're ready to call. So Achieving Unity's Success Formula, upcoming podcast. Now we're only showing two here, but we also have the two on the 24th and the 31st. Now, of course, the 24th is Christmas Eve. The 31st is New Year's Eve. We will not be doing those live. Those will be recorded. If I'm not doing anything, I might go ahead and put them on live, one or the other. But those are going to be podcasts that will be talking about learning. And they'll be talking about the new year, what we're doing in 2026, how we can make 2026 happen. But for next week, December 10th, Steve Brosman, Selling Yourself, personally and professionally, because that's how life is. And how we've talked about it on this podcast, we'll continue to talk about. It's all about doing things personally and professionally all around. That's what Steve's going to talk to us about, selling ourselves. And then on December 17th, Linda Ray, Thrive Every Day. I've known Linda for years. She's been an international star in Toastmasters, the Toastmasters organization. Wonderful person. She's going to come tell us about how she has been thriving every day to be what she is today, and how each of us can take that on and be better at what we do so we too can thrive every day. But now comes our special guest, and I'm very excited about this because she's going to help us understand what inspires us to lift others. And if we're not doing that, how can we pick up on that? Anita Sarda is a powerhouse in entrepreneurship and personal transformation. And I know we all need that. There's times where that transformation is just going to make the difference that we need to make our tomorrows better. Excuse me. But that wasn't always in her plan either. After 19 years in the corporate world, including rising to a six-figure leadership role at a Fortune 50 company, she realized long hours, limited income, and lack of purpose weren't the life that she was after. It's not what she wanted. Life had other ideas. Instead, Anita discovered a passion for helping professionals, people like you and me, break free from that corporate grind. She launched her own coaching business and became one of North America's leading transformation catalysts. Anita specializes in guiding aspiring entrepreneurs to create six-figure or greater businesses on their own terms. Her work empowers professionals to stand out, to make that impact, and gain the freedom in a very crowded marketplace. She helps you stand out, even in those crowded marketplaces. She's widely known as the Accelerator Guide. Anita delivers what she promises, which is practical, results-driven strategies that work. Her approach is bold, it's engaging, and transformative. It's designed to fast-track professionals into thriving business owners. And to contact her, you look at the bottom right of the screen, you'll see her email address, anita@anitasarda.com, or you can contact her also on YouTube, see her videos, get to know more about her. So now please help me welcome Anita Sarda. Anita, how are you today? I think you're on mute. Technology. That's the worst thing sometimes, because we have multiple mute buttons and which one's going to work. But, I think it went off, but I think it turned back on. I'll I'll say something when it goes off. It still looks like it's muted. But I'll take that chance to get a drink. And I understand your troubles with technology because sometimes there's a mute button here, mute button there, and getting that mouse right on it. So take your time, get on there. We'll be ready when you are. I don't know, I heard you earlier. Because some of the things we're going to talk about today while she's getting her mute button to work, because we know with technology how it works fine until we need it. And then like Murphy's Law, just about the time it started ready to go on, because we were talking earlier. So we know it does work. But just about the time you get onto the podcast, Murphy comes in and technology just goes out the window. But we're going to talk today with Anita about several things and setting that stage to grow forward in what helps us inspire others, helps us lift others in what we do. Because the biggest problem we have too many times is the negativity that goes about our lives. You go to, let's say at work, maybe you go to a meeting or you go to work on something and someone else is there and they're complaining about this is too hard. Maybe there was road rage coming to work that morning. Maybe something was going on. And our ability to eliminate that negativity, to eliminate the problems and issues that come about and start thinking about something positive, it makes our whole attitude rise another level. And yes, as we mentioned earlier, there's always challenges in every relationship, personally and professionally. There's going to be challenges that are going to come up. We didn't expect, we didn't know they were going to be there, but we know that we can handle them. And if we get that frustration out of our pocketbook, we get that anger, we handle it. And remember, anger's action is not gaining effective results. So if it's not gaining effective results, how do we take that out of here? Okay, I think I see Anita coming up. We'll wait for her to give
Yes,
us the
I'm
okay.
so sorry.
There she
Technology
is.
is great when it works, and then we learn not to be frustrated when it doesn't always work. So I joined on my phone instead.
Oh, okay. But you're so right. And that's what's so beautiful. And with people like you and so many people here that will be listening to this, some are live today, some will be listening to it later. But that ability to see something like this happen, know that it's frustrating, but it doesn't do any good to show anger. It's just better to do what you did. This isn't working. What else can I do? You got on your phone. That's awesome. So thank you so much. It is great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited. I appreciate it.
This is my pleasure. So let's go ahead and get started with what I think our listeners are going to know the most, which is a little about you, then hearing a little bit more about the journey that you've been on that has led to the development of that employee to entrepreneur. Could you share some of those, how it started, how it got going, and then maybe one or two defining moments that truly sparked that initial transition into what you're doing today, and considering how that unity of purpose guides such big changes?
Yeah, 100%. I actually call myself an accidental entrepreneur. It was not by design. I had a great corporate job. I have a MBA. Went back to school, and I grew up in an immigrant family. We moved to Canada. My father studied in the United States, and then married my mom in India, and moved to Canada. That's where my sister and I were born. So we grew up in that very traditional go to school, grab a great education, get a corporate job, live happily, retire, and it's do pride by your social environment, what we work so hard to do here. And so it's not as if my parents never thought I couldn't do anything that I wanted to do. They've always been so encouraging, but it was that go to school and get a really good job at a great company. And I did all that. And becoming an entrepreneur was really not something I thought of. My one tip that I'll already say, just to get off the bat, is I regret that. So anybody listening to me, if you have a job, lovely. If you love it, even better. If you don't love it, let's talk. Let's talk. But if you do love your job, amazing. However, I'm still going to ask you to have a side hustle. Think of something on the side. And that was something I never did. I never thought that I should have a side business or anything because we just don't know what can happen. And as we go into 2026, I think into the future, you should always be thinking about that. Needless to say, I did not, and I call myself an accidental entrepreneur. I became an entrepreneur. I learned this great service that I thought was brilliant. And I said, oh, this is amazing. I'm going to share this with others. And they said, we'll pay you. And I said, why? They said, that's what we do. I'm like, okay, well, you're dumb. I'll take your money. And I got started not realizing I was starting an entrepreneurial business. I was becoming a business owner by selling this service. And it was completely a fluke. I loved what I did. And after a few years of just doing it part-time, I realized I did not want to have my corporate job anymore. I did not want to be an employee. And I really looked around going, what am I going to do? I had worked at all the big companies, the company I was at was huge, but all of my clients were like the big banks and, the Walmarts and at that time, Sears and all the big companies. And I just didn't, it was the same thing over and over again. And all of a sudden, I looked at this business model where there were people who were doing well as entrepreneurs. And I thought, well, I could do this. So it took a few years, a couple of years, and I finally hit six figures. And when I reflected back on what I felt like was a really long time to hit this six-figure journey of mine, I realized that a lot of my challenge in this journey was from doing things like an employee, having that employee mindset. I have a business degree, but quite honestly, in my view, an MBA is perfect if you want to move up in the corporate business world. It is not really a tangible, useful degree if you want to be an entrepreneur and a business owner and self-employed business owner entrepreneur. So when I started to really look back and reflect, I realized, wow, there were so many things that I wish someone had told me. And now I'm so thrilled because I feel like I'm this great accelerator guide, is how I call myself, a guide, less than a coach, but I call myself a guide because I want to guide you. Most of the people who come to me and are my clients are people who have been in that corporate world probably anywhere from a decade, 2 decades, 5 decades, they have been doing this. They've been doing something either on the side or they really want to. They're recognizing what I talked about of having your own business and wanting to do something different. And they are treating that journey like they are an employee of a corporate company, when the reality is they are the corporate company, but they don't know all of the pieces. So my journey was really unexpected, quite honestly. But I am going to come back to the point, and we'll come back to it in a moment. If you can ask me the question again, Mark, about unity in your purpose and when was a defining moment. So I'd like you to come back and ask me that question because I do have one that was unbelievably ridiculous that came out of nowhere. But I just wanted to give a little bit of background around who I am and how I got to where I am.
That's exactly what I wanted because that story right there that you just shared with us gives us the foundation that a lot of the people that will be listening to this, where I was at one time, corporate world, layoffs, long hours, a lot of us have been there. And as you mentioned, for a lot of people also, there are corporate jobs out there where you've got a good company, you've got good leadership, but sometimes it doesn't fit. Sometimes it doesn't match, right? You want to make
Yeah,
sure
sometimes
and
it doesn't
look.
match, and we can't control. I mean, I was just happened to be on my Facebook today, and a gentleman who I've known for years. He's been at the same company, must be at least 40 years, and he just got laid off at 9 a.m. this morning. It would
Boom.
completely took him by surprise. They reorganized the entire department, and he's gone. He's gone from his position now, and his identity in that position, in that role. We just don't know.
We don't know, and you make such a good point about that. And that's where the question comes from. And I think you're already on track. Could you share some of those defining moments? And one you just mentioned is pretty defining, but things that really sparked that initial transition for you, and especially considering how that unity of purpose guides such big changes in people's lives.
Yeah, I'm so glad to answer that question. So I'm a firm believer that most people have defining moments, and we can choose to listen to it. We can choose to see if it actually can cause a change in our life. We can acknowledge it, and sometimes we can just ignore it. So I will share with you a story that I look back now and it truly was a premonition. I have two children. They're now adults, but at the time, my son was about six. So it's, 2008-ish time period. It was, if people remember that time, it was horrible. The economy was really tough. There were a ton of layoffs during that time. I was in a very senior position at my company, and we were just laying off a lot of people. I was essentially firing a lot of people, laying them off. I mean, I did hire people as well, but there was a lot of reorg and churn happening. And I come home one day, and it was cold. I hadn't even taken my jacket off. I had my boots off, and my son, who's sitting at the breakfast bar doing coloring, turns around and goes, "Hi, mommy." And I said, "Hi, baby." He goes, "How was your day?" I go, "Good. How was yours?" He goes, "Who did you fire today?" And I literally lost my mind. I just stood there like his back was to me already. He wasn't even paying attention. He had no idea what he said to me. And I stood there as if he had thrown a dagger into my heart. He's 6 years old. His like 3-year-old sister sitting on the floor playing. And I just stand there saying, this is what my kids think of what I do for my life. Now, obviously, they're, 3 and 6. They don't know anything about what I do in my life. But obviously, I was coming home and, talking to their dad about what was happening at work. And I must have, and I found all of that awful and stressful. And it was for sure not the purpose of my life was to destroy people's life. I wanted to embrace people and elevate them and inspire them. The last thing I wanted to be known for, let alone by my children, is my mom. What a great role model was. She
Right.
just destroyed other people's life. No, obviously, that is not what my 6-year-old was thinking, but that's how I interpreted his comment to
Mhm.
me. And it took years before I was able to actually do anything with that sentence, and leave my corporate job and, like I said, become an accidental entrepreneur. But that sentence, as you can appreciate, sits with me. That every time I make a decision or I do anything, I go back and ask myself, does this align with destroying people's lives or elevating people's lives? Am I helping you grow? Am I helping you be inspired to achieve your greatness? Or am I, just like this friend on Facebook who's lost his job and just now he doesn't know what to do? I don't want to have been that person anymore. So that for me was a very pinnacle moment that took me years to do anything with. So I challenge everyone today that's listening to this to go back and really scan your life. Like just sit there in silence and scan your life. And someone asks you, was there a moment that someone said, and it could have been in, complete innocence, like my child. It could have been at a dinner table with, like the holidays are coming up or they just passed, where someone said something mean and cruel It could have been someone said something snarky. It could have been even somebody in road rage. I mean, we talked about somebody saying something in frustration, and a lot of times when people say mean things to us, it's their own issue as adults, if an adult says it. But I'm
Well
asking
said.
you to really think about, has someone ever said something to you that hurt you, but you can really look at it and think about it and go, huh, there's actually truth to that. And what can I do differently so that I never have to have that feeling ever again of, oh, like I never wanted that feeling that my son said to me ever to come in through my life again.
And as you said, your son didn't mean anything by it. He had just
Absolutely.
heard that word firing in conversations, and somehow it clicked with him. And again, 6 years old, as you're saying, boom.
Boom. And he could have
What did
said the
he
word,
do?
who did you hire today, equally. But because of
Yes.
who I was and what I was doing, and I had literally let go of so many people and it was destroying me and I wasn't able to sleep by it, it really hurt to the core. And that's why I'm saying, even if someone, an adult, has said something unkind or malicious or out of their own frustration and it hurt you, maybe we could flip that paradigm around and have it instead that they are being an unspoken guide to you, that maybe it's your turn to think about how you can have a different purpose and a different trajectory in your life.
That's so well said right there. That different trajectory, different purpose. And I like the way you talk about how this situation drove your decision to seek that unity between work and life. That unity right there is so important. And when some people say things and you hear it, sometimes, like you're saying, you're hurt at first, but people don't do anything about it many times, right? They hear something that could be impactful, but they take it maybe on the negative side. They don't,
Right.
as you're talking about, they don't move forward in what they can do and how they can grow. And I like what you have with what you call the accelerator guide, because that's a wonderful title that truly conveys that speed and efficiency about taking that situation, even something somebody else said, maybe came across wrong to begin with, but had a link to it that could benefit us. What do you think, Michelle, from your vision, what would be behind that concept that they could take forward, even though they hear something that may not have come out quite right, or maybe they didn't hear it quite right? How do they take that forward? And what does that mean for someone that's just starting their entrepreneurial journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, so first, let me caveat by saying I want to help people who want to transition from employee to entrepreneur. But I'm also a firm believer that not everybody needs to be an entrepreneur. If you love your job, fabulous. We want people to love their job, and we want people who are in jobs. You know, my best friend's a teacher. She loves being a teacher. I need her to be a teacher. She is a phenomenal teacher. So I am not at all professing that everybody go quit their job and, become a teacher. I do believe that everyone should have some degree of a side hustle, meaning find something else that interests you, find something else that maybe expands your repertoire if something were to happen. Maybe go back to school and pick on another accreditation so that maybe you can modify the job that you're in if you ever needed to. So I'm going to caveat everything that I'm saying based on that premise. What I do want to say, though, is that if you are really interested in that transition, the idea as an employee is we also hear that entrepreneurship is so easy. It's so amazing. We look at social media and everybody on there has made six figures in 30 days and it is just a walk in the park and they just did everything online and it's great. And they popped up an Instagram page and boom, they're now making six figures and they live on an island. The reality is that's absolutely not true. Mark, I know you know that for sure as well.
So true. You're
That is
right.
not that. The
No.
way the Yeah, and I mean, and when you're behind a, for lack of a better word, a cubicle, you're sitting in your office as an employee. The grass looks so green on the other side. You come home and you're looking at all the social media, and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got, especially now, and there's so many more companies saying go back to work, like in office work. And
Mhm.
depending on your climate of where you live, I live in Canada, but if you live in the northeastern part of the United States, it's cold. It's cold,
Cool.
it's snowy, it's yucky. So to get into your car and go, and otherwise I'm looking at all these people doing, time on a beach or in Thailand. Like I don't like my job enough to in 30 days if I could do it. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions is the fact that it's easy, that social media has promoted that it's really easy to become an entrepreneur. I have an idea, boom, I'll be a millionaire overnight. The reality is that's not how it works. I actually
It's
don't think
not.
it matters how good of an idea you have. Even Facebook, where we're showing this live, it took, if you go and watch that story, it's years. If you even look at Jeff Bezos, Amazon, it's years and years. If you look at Microsoft, it's years. We only ever see them being these ginormous companies. You even look at any smaller companies, ones that do, um, like clothing or nutrients or anything. The story is much longer, and what I call it is the roller coaster. The employee world tends to be, and I don't just mean that you're making a lateral, like you're going to automatically grow, and
Right.
rise up the ladder. What I mean is that when you're an employee, your journey tends to be quite stable as you live your career. There isn't. You might get a little bit of a raise. You might, get reallocated to another department where you have a learning curve. Maybe you'll get a new boss. So there's a little bit of the jag, but for the most part, it's a steady line. Entrepreneurship, on the other hand, is what I call the, Six Flags of roller coaster rides. It's oh my God, this was a great idea. I knew I was doing it. Oh my God, I'm going to go bankrupt. What was I thinking? Totally shouldn't have done this. Oh my God, they called me back. I might actually get to say, oh my goodness, they want a refund. I should never do this. Oh my God, this is fabulous. Oh my God, it's awful. This is what the real journey of entrepreneurship is. And we don't talk about it. We don't see it on social media. No one ever says it. So it's one of my biggest things that I talk about. That's what I showcase on my YouTube channel. Is my goal is to help with that roller coaster. So rather than making it this up and down spike, it will always be a roller coaster. I want to make it more of a baby ride where it's not nearly as heart dropping and heart fulfilling, but you're able to curb it a little bit better. And
Yes.
so a lot of even the stories that I like showcasing in my podcast where people have made that journey and talked about those hints and times where it was really tough and then it was really, and what they've done to curb that roller coaster. And I think that's probably one of the biggest things that, people with the employee mindset just don't understand is that the roller coaster of this journey.
But they can learn it, right? Though, Anita, that's
Absolutely
what you talk
learnable
about.
skill. 100%.
And it's learnable, but just like you mentioned, also sometimes the corporate world's better, and sometimes it's better, as you're saying, to work in that corporate world, but have that side gig and build that side gig on the side, and then get it go. Make sure it's growing stronger before you ever leave that corporate world, if you
Yes,
do, because still
absolutely.
there's times that it's ups and downs. It's that roller coasters you're talking about. But in the end, it's nice, as long as you can keep your company going, to be able to be, as they always say, your own boss. To be able to do
Yes,
that.
absolutely. And I think it is a coming. I mean, a lot of the things about being an entrepreneur are learnable skill. The challenge, truly, and why I decided to build what I've been doing to help people stay, as you like calling it, focused down this path, is because we go to school to learn to be great employees. You sit in a classroom, you raise your hand, you clock in at one time, you clock out at another time, you sit in your little desk. We learn to be great employees. We don't really ever learn how to be great entrepreneurs, to think, to deal with the ups and downs, to understand that and I say this all the time and it shocks people to say this. I'm like, if you don't like the idea of selling, do not be an entrepreneur. First of all, I love your next guest. I think next week is going to be fabulous
Oh, good.
because
Thank you.
we are all in sales. You're selling yourself or you're selling a service, a product, or yourself. And even if you're never an entrepreneur, you are selling something. You're either selling yourself for a promotion, you're selling yourself to get a date, you're selling yourself to your spouse every day to stay married to you.
Okay.
Like, I don't care what it is, but you are constantly having to sell. And just as an entrepreneur, we get all tied up in the fact that you have to sell something and then that's when you get paid. And I don't want to do it. It feels slimy. It doesn't. And I think that if you have someone to guide you and coach you, that learning can just be accelerated. And to your point, we get frustrated, and I love what you do. You help people
Thank you.
communicate, you help people, take that frustration and see value in it, take different actions in it. It's so important as you move in this journey to have really strong communication skills and how to
It
deal with
is.
an
It's
unruly client, or even communicating with your family. Hey, listen, I'm not going to have a regular paycheck anymore. I'm going to do this business and I'm really looking for your support. And when it doesn't
that
always
right,
work, how to get your family to still support you.
that right there. You said so much because of that unity between the couple, the family, being able to talk. So when that respect comes in, you're able to communicate, not hold things back, not take it to friends. Talk with it with your spouse, with your relationship. Make sure that communication is there. I think that's just one of the biggest things that we need to do. And as you mentioned, just get that anger out of here. It's not doing anyone any good. Never. But it tells me something. It seems like you have a very personal, very powerful and personal mantra. It doesn't matter if no one else believes in you. What matters is if you believe in you. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I went through a really difficult marriage. And it was an abusive marriage. And so a lot
Oh, I'm
of
sorry.
my mental capacities were, I felt were just tackled often. And, when I was able to leave that, and I was able to and I'm a big believer in therapy, and going down this journey of self love and understanding that I really am worth it and I'm great is without being arrogant about it, because there's power in saying I love you and I'm enough and I'm worth it, and you are not arrogant about it. It is believing it in yourself first before anybody else needs to. And as I started off my talk, I grew up with, in an immigrant household where my parents really valued a steady job. And I love them. They're amazing. I love everything that they have taught me and done for me. It was just really hard for them to understand my choice of, doing this journey instead of, my mom for a long time would say, I'm sure your company will take you back. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure they would too. I just don't want to. Oh, did you send your resume out to anybody? No, I really didn't. And it took a really long time to get, my parents in particular, but just even other people to believe what I was doing. And so I realized pretty early in my journey that even though my income was so far different than my corporate income, but I knew what I was doing was the right thing. And I knew that I would get there. And the only way I knew that is if I believed in myself. So it really didn't matter if other people believed in me. I had to get to my own point where I believed in me more than anybody else believed in me. And that was
Beautiful.
all that mattered. And again, I had that little boy's voice. My son is now about to turn 24. He's been working for 2 years. He's got a job. And I recently shared this story with him. And I was like, it's all your fault that I'm an entrepreneur now. And he was like, what, what are you talking
What did I do?
about? I go, and he goes, you left because of me? And I'm like, yeah, pretty much. And he was like completely freaked out. And I shared the story. He goes, I was 6. I didn't know. And I said, of course you didn't know. I said, I'm just sharing with you that what you said was so empowering to me. And it
And I
made
like
me
that,
so,
empowering.
yeah, it made me so much believe that I really could be different. And that I believed in myself wholeheartedly because I wanted both of you, both my kids, to be really proud. And I wanted them to believe, one day at my funeral, I mean, somebody I read somewhere that said, write your own eulogy. Like, take some time and write your own eulogy. What are you remembered for? What are you known for? What are the things that have inspired other people? Like, what would people say about you? And then take all those things that you write down, and that's how you believe in yourself.
And that's what you can do to put those into motion. She's saying, how do you want people to remember you? Write that down. Think about it.
Yeah.
Then take that forward and where you want to be. Well, one of the things that you talked about too was the issues with family, with relationships and problems. And sometimes when we're in those situations, my parents were the same way. My parents always told me, get a good job, go work for a bank, and just stay there for the rest of your life. And that's the way I started at first also. But sometimes it comes like you're saying with relationships. When you're in a situation that day to day, just as you learn from your parents, just as you learn from your culture, even as you're building, even for yourself, like your business, it could still impact you because you still fall back to those comfort levels. But then having a coach like yourself, myself, and people to talk with to help you get beyond that because the people around you, right? They can maybe pull you down a little bit at times if they're not seeing it, even like your parents. Sure, you have wonderful parents, but for their beliefs, that culture you just talked about, well, have you sent out a resume this week? Do you think they'll take you back? Their mindset, and that happens around all of us, wherever you are with family, friends, relationships, their thought pattern can affect you also, even when you're doing well, right?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that most people tend to underestimate is the power of your associations. And I'm a firm believer in it takes a village. It really does. It takes a village to raise me still. I'm a firm believer in that. And so I have different friends who offer different types of support. And I have friends that I'm able to call upon when it's related to work and business. And then I have others that I call upon for personal. And I have different for different reasons. I would never expect one person to handle everything in my life. Actually, even a partner. I think it's unfair to say that one person can handle all different components. I completely agree with you that, having good communication with your partner on, different parts of your life and being able to be clear and articulate it and communicate is really important. But there's nothing to say that they have to be the ones that are the master of every part of our lives, from
Right.
financial to social to work to bosses to clients to parents to friends. Like, there is nothing to say that you just keeping someone isolated and not talking is the problem, less so than asking them to be your solution and end all be all. And so
That's
I think
both
it's really
ends of the
important.
spectrum, right? And that's
Absolutely.
exact
And so
isolated or being everything, both ends of the spectrum. And that's not what you want to do. You want that good communication, right? Go ahead.
absolutely. I mean, they're not helpful to have, someone who takes care of everything. But I do firmly believe that it's really important to have a good circle of people for the different parts of your life. So again, the concept of it takes a village. So if you're down that employee entrepreneur path, if you are an entrepreneur, if you're considering it, surround yourself with other people who are in the same boat, who understand that frustration, the ones that you can talk to where, if a sale fell through or you didn't do what nothing happened the way you were supposed to, or you procrastinated and you didn't do it. Your family may not be so understanding because this is supposed to be what you're doing. But or what do you mean it's not working? But if you end up in a community or in a group that allows for it, it's kind of the reason why, even if you look at really hardcore therapy or things like AA or all those, no one expects a family to be able to manage that person who is addicted to something. That's why the groups have been created. That's why you have a sponsor. That's why you have a group that you go to. Well, it's no different than if you want to be an entrepreneur, or if you're struggling with maybe communication. Like, find an outlet, find a coach or a guide or a community that can help you with whatever it is that you need, so you're not relying on that everybody else to manage all that for you.
Exactly. And you need to be able to be in control and to be able to work with your partners and your family, your village in that process. And we have about, give or take, 8 more minutes. Time has just flown talking with you. I mean, this has been tremendous.
Thank you.
But back to some of the things that you're talking about. You're quite welcome. Thank you for all of your insight. That transition to entrepreneurship, and you mentioned this a little bit right up front, it involves a lot of courage. Your roller coaster that you talked about. Sometimes you're going downhill, sometimes you're going uphill. Could you maybe share one quick thought, maybe a piece of advice for that person who is currently sitting on that fence, contemplating that could be a bold leap, and how embracing that challenge ultimately leads to that self-unity?
Yeah, again, you said it. You said it yourself too. Is the ideal would be have your job and a side hustle, build up enough of a business to feel confident, and that includes financial, that includes the learning, that includes all components of it. But if, say, you're a person who's already taken the leap and you're already sitting in that roller coaster, you've already left your job and you're an entrepreneur and you're still fairly early on, which a lot of people, I think, during COVID. So you're maybe in that 2 to 5 year space right now, and you're still really early and you're in the roller coaster, and it's not the way social media, you didn't become a millionaire in 30 days in 6 figures. So my bit of advice to you is, don't do it alone. I probably, what changed my business is when I invested in myself. I hired a coach. I paid a
Excellent.
lot of money, and I did it because I knew that I could do this. I knew, and I'll say that again, I knew I could do this. You have to get to the point where you can do this. I knew what I could do. What I didn't know was everything I needed to do, because there must have been something that was missing. So what you don't KNOW doesn't mean it's a no, NO, that you can't do what you're doing. So don't be dissuaded, but invest in yourself is probably the biggest thing. Because again, if you're listening to this and you're over the age of, let's say, 40 even, you've probably now worked for at least 2 decades. Let's say from adult 20 to about 40. Let's just say for 2 decades, let alone all the 20 years of schooling that taught you to be a great employee. So really, for 40 years, you've been a great employee. And now suddenly, miraculously, in the last few years, you're supposed to just know how to be an entrepreneur? No, that doesn't really work that way. So find resources. Obviously, something like me. There are others. There are a lot of others. Find somebody that resonates with you. Find a book, a program, a community, coaching. Invest in yourself. Put money in. And I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to invest money. I don't really have enough money. Well, that is the catch-22. I paid a huge amount of money for the coaching that I did not have. And I'm talking like $15,000. And in 9 months, I made 6 figures. Was it worth it for me? Yeah, I think so.
It's like
Right?
any type of investment. You always invest that way. And you have to put the money in it to get the money out. But you pay for
Absolutely.
value and then know when you're putting the money in that's good and when it's not, when you're not. And you be able to stop that. So
That's
just
right.
to, on that same kind of point, but for our listeners, it would be just beneficial for them to know how they can contact you. What's the best way for them to connect with you, learn more about your programs, your coaching? What's next for employee to entrepreneur? Where are
Yeah,
you going next
absolutely.
for
Well,
that
I would
unified
love,
journey?
Yeah, thank you. Well, first of all, I would love if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel. I think the link did come up, but I'm pretty sure you'll post that. So if you go to YouTube and search Anita Sarda E2E, that'd be great. Please email me. It's my name. It's easy to reach me, Anita at anitasarda.com. So my first name at my full name. Reach out. Happy to do a 15-minute call and just see where you're at, talk to you to figure out where you are in your journey and what it's looking like, and what could, if there's anything I could do either to help you, or what one of the other great things I've done is created a humongous resource bank of other coaches and other leaders in their entrepreneurial space. And whether it's money mindset or social media, or you have a business you want to sell one day, whatever it might be. And if what I offer isn't what you need, I've got people like Mark who I have connected with, and I'm happy to reconnect you with the appropriate person that you need. So let's just have a conversation.
That's the best part you just said too, because the more we work, the more that we talk, the more that we communicate, the more people that we meet and learn, and which is how I met you, how we met. And it's a situation of taking what you have forward and doing something with it. Because too many times, as we mentioned earlier, you hear something and we don't even respect what our own thoughts are. So think about those and take them forward and make it happen. Talk to a coach. Maybe you don't need to spend $50,000. Maybe you do. When you're making six figures plus, $50,000 is not much. But also, as Anita said earlier, don't think it's going to happen overnight. Don't think you're going to get it. You're going to go buy a website or pay for a web page, and all of a sudden everybody's going to be coming to knock on your door. They may not know quite yet what your address is or where you live. But
Yeah.
take that into your thoughts. Contact Anita. But Anita, finally, as we're getting ready to close, do you have one possibly overarching positive takeaway, a key message that you might want to leave with our Achieving Unity audience to wrap up this fantastic conversation, but focusing on that unity of possibility?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably my biggest thing of this is just be kind to people. We never know people's backstory and what people are going through. And so, whenever you want to leap to something, just be kind in that moment. Just say, I wonder what they might be going through. And can I just offer them a smile? Can I offer them a support? And in leading to that, this episode is being aired just before the holidays. Shop your local entrepreneur. I know it's so easy to go to big brands and big businesses, but if you've got a friend who has a business, shop there. If you've got a retailer, be kind to them, walk into their store, shop it with a business owner, a locally owned business owner or an entrepreneur, even if it's online. Just shop with an entrepreneur who's trying to make it work, because they worked so hard to be able to offer you a service or a product. And if you can be kind to them, it shows that you actually care. And we're not necessarily just supporting the big box stores, who, of course, were all entrepreneurs at one point, and that's great. But we want to support the ones who are going to be those big Amazons as well one day. Let's just start locally.
Well said. Thank you so much, because you said so much right there. Everyone, as they begin, now they may not be the $1 billion, but if they're in those $1 million, that's a great place to be. So you may be that next Amazon or whoever it may be. Start where you are today. Wow, Anita, what a truly wonderful and energizing conversation. Again, with Anita Sarda, Sarda. Look her up. Her commitment to helping people, helping you reduce their learning curve is exactly what we champion here also at the AUSF, Achieving Unity Success Formula. Anita shows us how to unify our purpose with our profession. This conversation itself proves that leaving a corporate calling can lead to a limitless, unlimited success. But as she said, corporate place may be where you want to be and may work better for you, but you may want to do a side gig. But Anita, We truly appreciate you taking the time to share your journey and your tools with our listeners. Your ability to combine professionalism, humor, and that warrior spirit that you have is in that word that one of the words I love most is inspirational. And you are. You remind us that personal belief is the foundation for all achievement. Thank you for being such an appreciated and valuable special guest today. Do you have any last minute comments?
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I just look forward to your audience reaching out and being able to speak and help as many of you as possible. Thanks again.
Oh, my pleasure, Anita. And this will be on YouTube on Monday. So look it up. It'll be out there so you can watch it anytime you want to, watch it over and over. But Anita, thank you for being such an appreciated and valuable special guest today. Because to our audience, we engage you to connect with Anita. Check on her resources. Please use her insights to take that next big step in your own life. Remember that achieving unity starts with believing in yourself, in your own capacity, your own transformation. So Anita's talking about lifting others in what you do, personally and professionally, is a mindset of value. Helping others in unity shows us that our success strategies, that they are a daily choice to lead with empathy, act with integrity, and uplift others along the way. As she mentioned, if you see somebody with a bad day, having a bad day, remember, we have them sometimes also. What we do is a service that we can share with everyone, share with others in unity for free as we gain so much more. And again, as Anita talked about, for ourselves through those actions of being nice to others. So if achieving unity resonates with you, follow that feeling. Reach out, connect with me, www.achievingunity.com or www.markhitrican.com. And just like Anita's address, mine's mark@markhitrican.com. And with each inspiration that Anita shared with us today, connect with her. Contact Anita. Contact her on LinkedIn. Go out to her YouTube. As Anita has reminded us, standing out is not about being louder. It's about being truer to who you are, truer to yourself, and what unique values that only you can bring. We love that process. We love what Anita's brought to us. And again, check with her. Go onto the internet, enter her name, go out to her YouTube or Anita@anitasarda.com. Anita, this has been awesome.
Thank
Just
you so
what you
much.
brought us.
Thank you.
So until next time, let us to continue to transform the complexities into execution, the chaos into connection, and our purposes into the actions, just like Anita talked to us about today. Again, reach out to us. Hope you'll always remember my phone number, 303-FOCUS, on your keypad, 303-362-8733, because we can stay focused on turning that chaos into connection as we achieve unity, as Anita was talking about today also with your village, by harnessing the power of encouraging, inspiring, and including others in building better businesses, better lives, and a better world. Anita, I can't say it enough. Thank you for being here. Been awesome. You're more than welcome. This has been Mark Intrican with the Achieving Unity Success Formula, reminding each of us that life is truly what we make it. So let us lift others, as Anita's told us, to make life awesome together in unity. Thank you all, and thank you again, Anita Sarda, for your message of helping others through your time, your commitment, and hope to see you again, and hope to see all of you again next week on the next podcast. Till then, cheers.